Welcome back to Peaks 47. Thought I'd just show you guys what I've been up to. Obviously you're aware of most of this stuff on here because that's where most of the videos are. Just trying to move around the board a little bit. So this evening I'm just sort of starting to come around here a little bit. I thought I'd just show you what I've been up to and what methods that I'm using. So most of the layouts so far I've been using this insulation stuff that I had left over from when I built the room. I think it's like Salatex sort of stuff. It's pretty effective just for cutting and just starting the embankments really on coming off the main lines. I think I'm going to have some sort of occupational bridge here. I've been working on this bit at the minute where I've just put a drop-in road that comes up to the signal box, so I'm hoping I can somehow incorporate a road underneath there. Decided to use hardboard on this side of the layout. I've just put a back on it here. I'm hoping to get some nice embankments and get some nice shots of a nice sleepy branch line coming along there. I'm hoping that will look alright when it's done. So I'm going to fix all this in place, get some plaster Paris on it, start shaping it up, and I've got a few more sort of ideas for this area. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing yet, but I've got a few plans. So yeah, we'll see how we get on with getting this all down. I've also been working on the station area just as a bit of a side project. I've had a bit of a shift around my track work. Quite happy with how it is now. I've been building this over the past couple of nights, so it's a wayside shelter, I think it's called, from Metcalfe. I haven't attached the roof properly yet because I'm thinking about putting some detail in. These windows are quite big, and you can see in there that there's blatantly no furniture or anything. So I'm going to leave the roof off for now, but I've had the airbrush out, just sort of take that new look off it. I've put a poster in that's just sort of dropped off on the right hand side, just make it look a little bit sort of run down, as if it is, you know, LMS in 47, the last few days, last year of the LMS. So trying to make it look sort of a little bit run down. Got my platforms coming from Santa, so looking forward to getting them in. I think that's quite a nice area when that's done. I'm just going to carry on round really from where I finished off, so you can actually see on the end of this embankment. This is just this stuff sort of hot glued on, wedged up, plaster Paris on top, then obviously you scatter static grass or whatever method you're choosing. So it's just a case of just hot gluing, just dabbing some hot glue on, get them to be sturdy, and then just putting the plaster Paris over the top. No, dead easy, really lightweight, really cheap, really effective, I find. Sometimes use hardboard in places as well, depending on what I'm doing. Sometimes I just fancy a change of using different methods as well. No, it's quite easy, just stick it where you want. It's dry within a couple of minutes, if that, and then you can start shaping it a little bit more if you want, or putting your plaster Paris on and then possibly shaping it after. Sometimes put the plaster Paris on and I feel like it looks a little bit too square, and then I'd maybe put some balls of kitchen roll over and plaster Paris over that just to give it some variations. So I'll get on with gluing these all into place and then I'll be back. So on this opposite side of the embankment that I've just been showing you, I've been using a different method here, and I have used this method over on the farm side, and that's just pretty much just hardboard screwed to a back edge. Kind of gives you quite a nice natural curve. I don't mind mixing it up a little bit really, just to give it a bit of a change from doing the same sort of process. It's nice to just sort of experiment. I think they're both I think they've both got their advantages and disadvantages. I think the hardboard gives you, if you want a smoother sort of field look rather than a sharp embankment. And then I just tend to use some body filler around the edges where the lips are, just to smooth it off, and then obviously the plaster Paris straight onto the top of this. And then again, if I want to put make the terrain a little bit rougher, you can add little bits, but generally it will give you a nice smooth thin finish. This is how this field started off over here. So this is all hardboard under here, filler on the edge where the fence line is, and then this road going uphill to the farm, that is all just hardboard on sort of pegs. I think I might have just stacked some 2x2 under it. But I find the hardboard's quite effective if you want quite a flat, natural looking sort of field, you know, rather than the sort of the moorland sort of look where you want some sharper edges, which is obviously what I'm going for, just to follow that terrain sort of going round the top of the main line. Now the next stage I do is just use a bit of newspaper just to take that sharp drop off the bottom of the insulation. Just find it blends it into the ground level a little bit better. And then really it's just a case of plaster Parising. I bought a pack of 20 online that were dirt cheap. Now this was the make, so it's just a PO bandage. I think I got a pack of 20 for about £12, I think. So it's surprising how much of the stuff you actually use. So again, if you haven't ever used this stuff before, it's just a case of dipping it in some water. I've always used cold water. I don't know if warm water's any better. It goes off pretty quick. Try not to get it soaking wet, but make sure it's all wet, and it's a case of just dropping it on, and then to activate it, just rub the plaster between the holes. And I'll generally put sort of 2 layers on, and you can go straight on top with another one. And then if you can see if you're getting the natural look obviously that you're looking for, then you can just carry on, or if there's anything you're not too happy with, you can sort of adjust it as you go really. And so far that's the sort of look that I'm looking for, quite an aggressive embankment. I can put some shrubs up. I'm not sure if I'm going to put a fence line along the top or the bottom yet, but generally that's kind of what I'm looking for. Okay, so that's the plaster Paris all laid down now. Seems to be shaping up quite nicely. It's kind of what I was looking for. Nice sharp embankment coming down from the main line. I've left a bigger gap than I need there until my occupational bridge, so I think it's a Wills kit. Till that turns up, I can obviously come in a bit narrower if I need to. It should work quite well, incorporating the road up to the signal box at the back. Got that curve in, and that's kind of incorporated quite well with what was already there. And then the embankment on the opposite side, looking a little bit more rugged, which is what I was going for. So hopefully in the future that might make for some nice running shots there.